The King's Avatar, Chapter 1632 Unbreakable Wall, audio source, wushaworldaudiobook.com. Chapter 1632, Unbreakable Wall. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. 2 minutes and 45 seconds, the cooldown on Angel's Might. Fang Rui had held off Fang Minghua and Lu Boyuan for nearly 3 minutes, until this skill came off cooldown. Fang Minghua immediately had Laughing Song use Angel's Might. Angle, position, and timing. Fang Minghua wanted to use this opportunity to finally break this stalemate. The halo of light burst forth. Fang Rui's Boundless Sea couldn't dodge it or resist it. He could only be forced back. And this time, his previous cloud-pushing palm wouldn't work. It wasn't that he couldn't use it, but that the distance was too far. Because of their positioning, if he pushed Laughing Song with cloud-pushing palm, he would just be helping him leave faster. After Laughing Song cast Angel's Might, he immediately turned and ran. Lu Boyuan didn't have Chaotic Cloudy Mountain follow after him to protect him. Instead, he sprinted straight towards Boundless Sea. Even though it looked like this Angel's Might had given Fang Minghua enough space to escape, Lu Boyuan felt uneasy. He wanted to use this opportunity to completely shut down Boundless Sea and prevent any future regrets. Charge! Chaotic Cloudy Mountain sprinted towards Boundless Sea, who was starting to lower himself. Boundless Sea's 2 hands moved towards the ground. This trick again. No one would fall for Fang Rui's act this time, but maybe he was doing it precisely for this reason. With Fang Rui's dirtiness, what couldn't he do? Thinking about it was too complicated, so Lu Boyuan didn't bother thinking too deeply on whether Fang Rui would repeat the same trick. He regarded it as a possibility, and when he attacked, all he would have to do was be on guard against it. No. Chaotic Cloudy Mountain sprinted over diagonally. Lu Boyuan had calculated how far Boundless Sea would be pushed. By rushing over right now, he would reach Boundless Sea's final destination. Lu Boyuan had set his sights on that location, and Boundless Sea was moving towards it just as he was expecting. Chaotic Cloudy Mountain didn't stop to take a rest. He jumped. Aerial twist. Chaotic Cloudy Mountain dropped from the air, his 2 legs grabbing towards Boundless Sea's neck. By doing it this way, Boundless Sea's landmine quake wouldn't able to affect him. Fall. Chaotic Cloudy Mountain's 2 legs moved towards Boundless Sea. This 1v2 would finally end here. Even though Fang Rui wasn't able to last long enough to clinch Happy's victory, no one overlooked Fang Rui's efforts and impact on the match during these 3 minutes. His freakish plays had vastly exceeded everyone's expectations. He had played spectacularly. He wasn't able to win Happy the game, but he had helped Happy win an enormous lead. Many people, including some Sarah fans, were thinking about if Happy's 4 players hadn't been Yishu, Sumucheng, Qiao Yivan, and An Wenyi, and instead been what Li Xuan had envisioned. Yishu, Sumucheng, Li Xuan, and Zhang Xinji, players on an equal level as Samsara's 3 players, the time won by Fang Rui might have been able to lock in Happy's win. What a pity! While praising Fang Rui's performance, everyone couldn't help but feel a bit regretful about the outcome. But just when everyone was thinking this, Boundless Sea's head suddenly dropped, and then missed. Chaotic Cloudy Mountain's aerial twist missed. Quite a few crowd members, including people watching at home, couldn't help but stand up in shock. They need to confirm that it wasn't that the attack missed, but Boundless Sea had dodged it. Yes, he dodged it. Boundless Sea rolled to get away from Chaotic Cloudy Mountain. Afterwards, he went straight for Laughing Song. Chi Flowing Cloud. Boundless Sea activated this buff again. Angel's Might had come off cooldown. The same went for Chi Flowing Cloud. Boundless Sea moved as if he were riding the wind, quickly closing the distance between himself and Laughing Song. Behind him, Chaotic Cloudy Mountain's two legs formed a weird arc as he landed on the ground. WooshaWorldAudio.com. He didn't have time to make another move, and unexpectedly fell to the ground just like that. Lu Boyuan's mind was a mess. He hadn't felt like his aerial twist would hit for certain. After all, there hadn't been any setup. He was just using the knockback from Angel's Might. He wouldn't be too surprised if Boundless Sea dodged it, and he had thought of countermeasures in case he did dodge it. But he was very surprised right now. Not surprised at how Boundless Sea dodged it, but when. Not just Lu Boyuan, but everyone had thought that the aerial twist would hit, yet Boundless Sea was able to complete a dodge. Fang Rui's movements had been so precise and tight that even a needle wouldn't be able to get through. Lu Boyuan had panicked at that moment, and instinctively did what he had planned on doing if Fang Rui dodged the aerial twist. He cancelled aerial twist, and turned it into a circle sweep kick. His two legs went into a weird arc because he had used this skill. But Chaotic Cloudy Mountain was too close to the ground. Because Boundless Sea had lowered himself, Chaotic Cloudy Mountain's target had been low to the ground. And with how precise Fang Rui's timing was when the aerial twist missed, there was no time for him to make another move. Even though Lu Boyuan was able to use the skill, Chaotic Cloudy Mountain was only able to do half of a circle sweep kick before hitting the ground. As a result, he looked like he was kneeling now. This guy, quote, let alone the normal viewers, even the pro players were all stunned. Fang Rui's condition and playing couldn't be described with just great, spectacular, on fire, those usual descriptions. Fang Rui himself might not even fully realize what exactly he had achieved during these few minutes. But everything that happened on stage would leave its mark on stage, in everyone's mind, and turn into Happy's win. Boundless Sea had once again caught up to Laughing Song. With a downwards chi flow, he knocked Laughing Song down and then with a fling, he threw Laughing Song behind him. 3 minutes. Samsara's two players had once again been stopped by Fang Rui. Just how long could he last? No, this was no longer the right question. It should be, how long were Samsara's two going to take to break through Boundless Sea's airtight wall? As for Yishu and the others, they should be taking advantage of this opportunity. No. Even if they couldn't see what Fang Rui was doing, it had been 3 minutes, yet Samsara's support still hadn't arrived. The others on Happy should have realized by now what sort of situation Fang Rui had set up for them. The opportunity had been created by Fang Rui, but they had to be the ones to grasp it. End chapter. The King's Avatar. Chapter 1633. Godly Play in a Clumsy Method. Audio source, WooshaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1633. Godly Play in a Clumsy Method. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Attack. Fang Rui had fought hard for this opportunity, yet why weren't the others on Happy attacking? Anyone that wasn't a Samsara fan was practically screaming in their heart. They didn't want to see Fang Rui's godly performance be buried because his teammates weren't doing anything. The camera turned around. The crowd turned around. Fang Rui had brought about an opportunity. The following question was whether this opportunity would be grasped. Happy playing safer previously could be explained by not expecting such a godly performance from Fang Rui. However, now that the battle had gone on for so long, and Fang Rui was still stopping Samsara's support from arriving, if Happy didn't make a more aggressive move, it would be rather puzzling. Attack. Countless people clenched their fists, waiting for this moment to happen. The happy fans in the stadium had already stood up, but none of them made any noise. They stared intently at the stage, their attention on the ongoing battle in the trash room. Yishu, Sumuchung, Kiao Yivan, and Wenyi. Lord Grimm, Dancing Rain, 1-inch Ash, Little Cold Hands. It's time. Go. Use everything you have and win. Explosions rumbled. The battle taking place here had never stopped, but at this moment, everyone seemed to hear a change in the tempo from these explosions. Dancing Rain's artillery fire had begun pushing forward, and Yishu's Lord Grimm had finally moved away from Little Cold Hands. Armor-piercing missile. Colliding stab. Under Dancing Rain's cover, Lord Grimm rushed out, colliding with one autumn leaf, who had been focused on attacking Little Cold Hands. Facing the character that had once been his, Yishu didn't hold back. The sharp sword in Lord Grimm's hands stabbed towards one autumn leaf's chest in an attempt to push him back. Little Cold Hands had started casting a spell. Holy light began to spread outwards, enveloping his surroundings. This was the cleric's AoE heal, God's protection. The skill began as soon as the chant began and ended when the chant ended. During the skill's duration, all allies within its range, including the healer, would receive powerful heals. The amount of mana need to keep up the chant was massive, significant enough to reduce how much longer the cleric would be able to heal in the future. The healing efficiency of God's protection was actually quite low, and the range was very limited. As a result, the skill was rarely seen in pro play. Pro players preferred using their own methods to achieve the same effect but at a much smaller cost. But for Wenyi, this was his weak spot. Even though he was improving, it had only been about a year. It wasn't possible for him to become a healing god in such a short amount of time. And Wenyi was clear about where his weaknesses lay, so he chose to use God's protection, a skill that normal players thought of as a godly skill, but pro players considered as beneath them. Suddenly, Lord Grimm, Little Cold Hands, and 1-inch Ash were bathed in holy light. Sumuchung's Dancing Rain had a range advantage, so she was rarely threatened by Samsara. Although she wasn't inside the healing range, she also didn't need to be healed. God's protection only covered 3 characters, making it even more wasteful. But anyone could see that this skill was the signal for their fierce counter-attack. Bang 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 bang. Gunshots rang. No matter how subpar and Wenyi may be as a healer, for Samsara's trio, he was their biggest threat. Cloud Pierce's dual guns fired countless bullets towards Little Cold Hands. During God's protection, the healer wouldn't be able to move. Once the chant was interrupted, the skill would cease. Lord Grimm, who had been guarding Little Cold Hands previously, had finally moved away. Samsara had gotten this far by sticking to their strategy. Sun Xiang's one autumn leaf dragged Lord Grimm away, while Zhou Zekai's Cloud Piercer immediately attacked Little Cold Hands. Their focus wasn't misplaced. Lord Grimm had moved away, but a new guardian had taken his place. 1-inch Ash activated Shadow Image, summoning a ghost that shielded Little Cold Hands. WuxaWorldAudio.com. And Wenyi's Little Cold Hands had previously helped him block bullets, and this time, Kiao Yivan was returning the favor. Their talent might not be extraordinary, and they might not have any crazy technical skill, but they could still use this clumsy method to contend with their opponent. Even if their opponent was Zhou Zekai, Glory's #1, an existence far above them. But at this moment, they knew that Zhou Zekai must be feeling more anxious than them. Their clumsy method was extremely effective at restraining their opponent's attacks. Gunshots rang again, but Happy's offense couldn't be stopped. Happy had begun their counter-attack. Ye Xiu and Su Mucheng, the Golden Partners, led the way, while Qiao Yivan and Wenyi, the two rookies, supported them from behind using their clumsy methods. Everyone suddenly felt like it might not necessarily be the case that Happy would be better off with players better than their rookies. Qiao Yivan and Wenyi weren't gods, nor were they top players. However, they had their own way of playing, their own way of competing. A godly healer could rely on their own skill and reactions to prove large-scale healing. But Wenyi was using a skill that people looked down on, God's protection, to the same effect. A godly Ghost Blade player could create an inescapable net through their ghost boundaries, making every step taken by their opponents difficult. But Qiao Yivan, even if it was just using his ghosts to block bullets, he made himself known at the most crucial moment, thwarting his opponent's plans just the same. They weren't the best, but they had their own remarkable aspects. What they did might not be the most optimal, but their impact on the battle was just as considerable. Victory was approaching them step by step. This was Samsara's home stadium, a demonic stadium where Samsara had never lost. But at this moment, Happy, a team that had started only last season in the Challenger League, was once again setting a new record, creating a miracle, creating history. In the second game of the finals, Happy won against Samsara, ending Samsara's perfect win record this season in their home stadium. There were countless highlights in this match alone, but the one that left the deepest impression on everyone was Fang Rui and his godly play that decided the match. Golden right hand. Today, what everyone witnessed was a pair of god hands. End chapter. The King's Avatar. Chapter 1634. Joyful in victory, calm in defeat. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1634, Joyful in Victory, Calm in Defeat. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Happy wins. Second match of the finals, Samsara's home game, Happy obtained victory, they did it. Quote, in the televised broadcast, Pan Lin excitedly announced the final result of the match. Happy's performance was infectious. Many neutral parties in the audience ended up hoping for a Happy victory. Pan Lin was one such person. He was a commentator, so he should have been the most impartial, and no matter what hope he might have in his heart, he shouldn't display it so passionately. But in this moment, he couldn't hold himself back anymore. As a professional commentator, even if he sometimes couldn't analyze a match well enough, even if he was sometimes laughed at and face-lapped, Pan Lin still truly loved this work and glory as a game. A commentator couldn't be biased, but he wasn't a robot. There were times where he couldn't restrain himself. Such as now, like too many other people, he was infected by Fang Rui's godlike performance and he didn't want to see Happy miss this opportunity. And now, Happy fulfilled all hopes. The audience and Pan Lin found their hopes fulfilled. In this moment, he couldn't think about too much. He was completely wrapped up in satisfaction, just like those in the audience. Samsara's players also all performed well, but Happy's players performed better, especially Fang Rui. Quote, after expressing his emotions, Pan Lin probably quickly realized that his self-control had slipped, and he quickly recovered the correct tone. Yes, Fang Rui is unquestionably the MVP of today's match. Li Yibo was quite loyal to his partner, immediately adding on to the sentence to help Pan Lin recover. He was much calmer than Pan Lin. After all, he was a pro player who had experienced the struggle for the championship, so he was quite worldly. Yes. Aside from that, Ye Xiu's performance was very eye-catching, said Pan Lin. Of course, Li Yibo agreed. Defeating Zhou Zekai in the group arena, 1v3 in the team round, hand speed flying toward 500 APM. If Fang Rui's godlike performance hadn't upstaged him, awarding today's MVP to Ye Xiu would also be entirely rational. By now, the players had all walked out of the competitor booths on stage. But after Happy's players gathered together, they swept in a circle, but didn't find their hero of the match, Fang Rui. This guy, is he trying to be all dramatic? Su Mucheng laughed. Ye Xiu also laughed. He looked at Fang Rui's competitor booth, and then at the replay on the large screen in the stadium. Even though this was Samsara's home stadium, they wouldn't purposely ignore the outstanding performances of the opposing players. If they lost, they still need to lose with dignity. Right now, the screen was showing from multiple angles simultaneously the most thrilling moment of the match, Fang Rui's performance. And this was what Ye Xiu and the others, standing at Fang Rui's side, hadn't seen. Accurate judgment to the extreme, flawless technique, a dirty method of expression. Using these, Fang Rui pinned down Lu Boyuan and Fang Minghua from start to finish. Yes, from start to finish. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. None of these were the limit, and at the very end everyone had basically forgotten this statistic because it had already lost meaning. From start to finish, Lu Boyuan and Fang Minghua had been unable to escape. Did they still need this statistic? It was a shocking performance, but as Ye Xiu watched and watched, his original smile grew a bit heavy. He glanced at Fang Rui's booth again, and seeing that there was still no movement, he quickly walked over. The rest of Happy all realized this as well, and they quickly followed. When the stadium saw this sudden movement of the Happy players, they also seemed to realize something, and they began whispered discussion. They pulled open the door of Fang Rui's competitor booth. Ye Xiu looked inside, and saw Fang Rui sitting there in the competitor chair in a very comfortable position, almost lying down. When he heard the door open, this guy turned his head, and seeing that it was Ye Xiu, he grinned and said, "Incredible, right? Incredible." Ye Xiu nodded. We won. We won. Ha. Fang Rui laughed loudly, but as he laughed and laughed, it was clear that he was out of breath. "It wasn't for nothing," he said fiercely, and then stood up from his chair. Reluctant to leave, he savored the sight of the screen displaying their victory, and then walked toward Ye Xiu. "You all came to see the miracle." Fang Rui laughed, seeing all of Happy gathered behind Ye Xiu. Seeing that Fang Rui was still in perfect condition, everyone let out a sigh of relief. When the audience saw Fang Rui appear, the Happy fans sitting in the away team area simultaneously burst into cheers and applause. And then, the whole stadium also burst into applause. Even though these were the opponents that defeated them, everyone respected Fang Rui's performance. Any gamer who understood or liked glory had no reason not to. The stadium sent their applause to the away team. To Fang Rui, this was extremely rare. Because of his style, when he did anything remarkable, it was often also infuriating, and during away matches, this meant that the opposing team's fans were furious, and couldn't give him any respect or appreciation. But this time, it was different. Even if there was still sneakiness and dirty play mixed in, he did what everyone thought was impossible. "Are you alright?" Su Mucheng asked him from the side. "Why wouldn't I be?" Fang Rui replied, and then waved his arm, acknowledging the applauding crowd. Su Mucheng watched his back, and then looked at Ye Xiu. Even though Ye Xiu was still smiling, that heaviness from earlier still hadn't faded. When he saw Su Mucheng looking at him, he returned the gaze, answered Su Mucheng's doubts. The two teams walked toward the center of the stage and began to shake hands. Compared to the pre-match ceremony, this was much more casual. They weren't forced to line up. Fang Rui was the first to walk over, and so he was the first to greet the Samsara players. "Do you admit defeat?" Fang Rui asked, shaking Zhou Zekai's hand. He and Zhou Zekai were from the same season. WuxaWorldAudio.com. And because the all-star experts from this season all had their own fresh and unique characteristics, they were called the strangest season of players. The Season 5 rookies ultimately produced 3 all-star level players. One developed dirty playing to the peak dirty until it couldn't be any dirtier, Fang Rui. One was frustratingly silent off stage and yet demonstrated explosive and elegant technique on stage, Zhou Zekai. And the third, Team Void's Wu Yus, was a fierce and direct Ghostblade. Strangeness was the most distinctive trait of their season's players. As same-season rookies, they knew each other quite well, and many were good friends. Some made childish and naive arrangements with each other during their rookie days. Fang Rui and Zhou Zekai hadn't done anything like that. After all, Zhou Zekai's personality was right there. But the two of them were indeed familiar with each other. Zhou Zekai's tendency was to go with the flow, his words as rare as gold. When Samsara heard Fang Rui's chatter about admitting defeat, they really were afraid that Zhou Zekai would just say yes. Quote, that would just hurt their morale too much. But Zhou Zekai only smiled a little, and said one word to Fang Rui. Incredible. Ha, as long as you know to be scared. Fang Rui was smug. Seeing this, the Samsara players were annoyed. Zhou Zekai clearly hadn't said he'd admit defeat, he said. Incredible. He'd avoided the question. But Fang Rui was shamelessly twisting this casual remark. It was clearly an avoidant, polite statement of praise, but this guy actually just interpreted it as Zhou Zekai saying yes. Looking forward to seeing this kind of exciting performance next match. Because Zhou Zekai didn't like speaking, Samsara usually had Vice-Captain Jiang Botao speaking to the other party on behalf of everyone. The meaning behind his words now was clear. Samsara didn't fear another godlike performance from Fang Rui. Next match, they were confident that they would defeat Fang Rui. Looking forward to seeing this kind of exciting result next match. Fang Rui repeated the sentence structure. Trash talk was his strength as well. How could the master of dirty playing be weak at trash talk? Ha. Jiang Botao just laughed and didn't answer. He knew that with Fang Rui's personality, continuing to talk would only make him more smug. Pushing this guy aside, Jiang Botao went to talk with the rest of Happy. And then Fang Rui saw Lu Boyuan, Fang Minghua, and Du Ming, gathered together and glaring at him. Ha! You guys really suffered this match. Fang Rui immediately went to greet them with great enthusiasm. The three of them wanted to ignore him, but they also didn't want to be impolite. These past 2 years, Samsara had won more often than not, and they were all sorts of daring and energetic. After victory, they wouldn't be high and arrogant when interacting with the losers, but after a loss, they wouldn't be petty and small-minded when interacting with the victors. Team Samsara's popularity had been rising these few years, not just because they were champions, but because this team did many things well. They always acted carefully and appropriately. Seeing that Fang Rui had clearly just come over to mock them, these three from Samsara didn't react much. They just gave him plain congratulations. Good luck next match. Fang Rui continued to speak in a mocking tone. The three of them had been mocked quite intensely, and were now covering their injuries. As though they couldn't hear the mockery in Fang Rui's voice, they responded quite seriously with phrases like, "Let's all work hard," and whatnot. As a team that rarely met defeat, after losing such an important match, Samsara's players were still very calm. Although the stadium fans had felt depressed after this loss, they were gradually moved by this attitude that Samsara demonstrated. Slowly, applause rose up once again in the stadium, and this time, it was no longer respect given toward the victors, but support given toward their own team. This kind of attitude, this kind of calm after defeat, this caused everyone's faith in Samsara to be renewed for the third match of the finals. Their team Samsara would not fall so easily. End chapter.